August 6, 1945. Tsutomu Yamaguchi had traveled to Hiroshima for work during the final days of World War II. That morning felt ordinary. The streets were busy. Workers moved through the city. Trains rattled through the station. Nobody knew humanity was seconds away from changing forever. At 8:15 in the morning, Yamaguchi looked up and saw a single American bomber crossing the sky. Then came the flash. A blinding white light exploded above Hiroshima, brighter than the sun itself. The heat instantly scorched the city below. Windows shattered across miles of streets. Buildings collapsed like paper. The shockwave slammed into Yamaguchi and threw him violently through the air. For a moment, everything went silent. Then the screaming began. People stumbled through the burning streets with skin hanging from their bodies. Fires spread in every direction. Thick black smoke swallowed the sky. Entire neighborhoods had vanished in seconds. Tens of thousands of people were already dead. Yamaguchi had survived the blast, but his body was badly burned. His ears rang so loudly he could barely hear. Covered in ash and blood, he wandered through the ruins of Hiroshima searching for shelter while the city burned around him. And somehow, against impossible odds, he was still alive. But the nightmare was not over. Bandaged and barely able to stand, Tsutomu Yamaguchi spent the night surrounded by fire and destruction. All around him, survivors cried for water, while the ruins of Hiroshima continued to burn through the darkness. The air smelled of smoke, ash, and death. Most people believed nobody could survive a weapon powerful enough to erase an entire city. Yet somehow Yamaguchi was still alive. 2 days later, weak and covered in burns, he boarded a crowded train leaving Hiroshima. Many passengers sat in complete silence, staring blankly through shattered windows as the destroyed landscape rolled past them. Nobody fully understood what had happened. Yamaguchi was trying to return home to Nagasaki. On the morning of August 9th, he reported back to work despite his injuries. His co-workers struggled to believe his story. How could a single bomb destroy an entire city in seconds? Some thought the shock had made him delirious. Then suddenly, the room flashed white. Once again, the sky exploded with blinding light. Another American bomber had dropped another atomic bomb. The force of the explosion ripped through Nagasaki just as it had in Hiroshima. Windows shattered instantly. Buildings collapsed into the streets. A massive mushroom cloud rose into the sky while terrified civilians ran through smoke and fire. For the second time in 3 days, Tsutomu Yamaguchi had survived a nuclear explosion. For days, the people of Japan struggled to understand what had happened. 2 entire cities had been nearly erased from existence. The bombs had killed tens of thousands instantly. Many more would die slowly from burns, injuries, and radiation sickness in the weeks that followed. Survivors wandered through ruins searching for missing family members, while black smoke continued rising over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And somehow, in the middle of unimaginable destruction, Tsutomu Yamaguchi was still alive. He had survived both atomic bombings. Most people would never witness a nuclear explosion even once. Yamaguchi had stood inside too. Years later, life slowly returned to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Roads were rebuilt. New homes stood where ashes and rubble once covered the ground. Busy streets replaced the silence left behind by the explosions. Trains moved through the cities again. Shops reopened. Children walked to school through neighborhoods that had once completely vanished beneath fire and smoke. To younger generations, the bombings became something they only read about in history books. But for Tsutomu Yamaguchi, those memories never truly became history. He remembered the unbearable heat that covered Hiroshima in seconds. He remembered wandering through streets filled with smoke and shadows, while desperate survivors searched for water and missing family members. He remembered the strange silence that followed the explosions. A silence so unnatural it felt like the world itself had stopped breathing. And then came Nagasaki. Another flash. Another collapsing city. Another sky swallowed by fire. Most people spend their lives never witnessing war on that scale even once. Yamaguchi saw it twice within 3 days. As the decades passed, he rarely spoke about his suffering in detail. But he understood something important. The world was entering a new age, an age where entire cities could disappear in moments. So instead of remaining silent, he shared his story with future generations. He warned people about the horrors of nuclear weapons and the terrifying cost of war, not because he wanted sympathy, but because he knew what happened when humanity forgot the past. By the time he became an old man, Hiroshima and Nagasaki no longer looked like ruins. The cities were alive again, filled with lights, traffic, laughter, and millions of people who could walk those streets peacefully without hearing air raid sirens overhead. But even after all those years, Yamaguchi still carried the memories of August 1945 with him. The blinding white flash, the burning sky, the screams echoing through collapsing streets, the feeling that the world was ending around him. And until the day he died in 2010 at the age of 93, he never forgot what he had seen.